this used to be your playground in many respects, and I guess it will continue to be in some ways. But you have left the county attorney's office to begin your own legal practice.
I have. Yes, I used to joke that this was my courtroom, but of course it's Judge Sanderson's courtroom. But I was the chief trial deputy here at the Uinta County Attorney's Office, and I have chosen to explore some more diverse grounds in civil practice, and so I'm excited for what that will bring.
Now, you're a Wyoming native, grew up in the Rawlins area. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, back on September 25th of 1974, I was born there in Rawlins, Wyoming at the Carbon County Memorial Hospital. And at the time, I was actually one of the last babies at the hospital because they did have to close down the maternity ward for an extended period of time after that. I was raised mostly on my family's ranches. My grandpa on my mother's side, it was Ernie Forsberg, and he had the Forsberg Ranch on the south side of the Deweese Creek there in Leo Valley, north of Sinclair. And my grandpa, Dick Howieson, is also with the Thayers, and so he and his family have some ranching in south of Rawlins. So actually when I left the hospital, I lived on the Thayer Ranch for about a year, and then we moved to Sinclair. We had a house there in Sinclair about a block from Sukasa Cafe, which is wonderful if you ever get to go over there and visit. And then in the summer times, we mostly lived out at my mom's family's ranch there in the cradle of Leo Valley. It's the most beautiful place on earth. And then in the winter times lived there in Sinclair and went to school in Sinclair Elementary, Rawlins Junior, and Rawlins Senior High, graduating in 1993.
So a cowgirl background, and then you also continued on to get your Juris Doctorate as a cowgirl, so to speak, at the University of Wyoming.
I'm a cowboy lover. I not only believe that I have a strong cowboy background through the agricultural people there in Carbon County and what I grew up with, but also I'm a Wyoming cowboy and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan as well.
How about that? Now, upon graduation, where did you go from there?
Well, when I graduated from the University of Wyoming, actually when I graduated I was still working with the Division of Criminal Investigation at the Attorney General's office, and I was doing document production for their civil forfeitures. And I continued to do that for a period of time while working there at the Snowy Range Ranch, which raises quarter horses and paints, and studying for my bar exam. I started with Buckhammer and Keel in January of 2001 as paralegal, and when I passed the bar, then I did start as an associate there, and that was in October 2nd of 2001. And by that time I was known as Loretta Green, and I stayed with Buckhammer and Keel doing civil litigation through. They're a trucking defense firm, so we did trucking cases. We did insurance defense firms. We represented Progressive, and so I did a lot of representation for them and other insurance companies such as the Hartford and other areas. I did a lot of domestic law. I did adoptions and guardianships, custody proceedings, and divorces. I also did some real estate and probate transactions, but I was honored to also serve on the Criminal Justice Act for the District of Wyoming, which is a criminal defense, and did some criminal defense in the state courts there in Laramie County.
What brought you to this part of the cowboy state?
Well, after staying there with Buckhammer and Keel for about 4.5 years, I left in October of 2005. I was appointed to the Federal Public Defender's Office, which was I was the first woman actually appointed to the District of Wyoming's Federal Public Defender's Office, and I was honored to serve there. And at least on one aspiration of the goals I'd set for myself, that was a goal I'd set for my life, was to be a federal public defender, and I achieved that goal at the age of 31. I served there, and there came a time, though I do have a young son, and he was 4 years old in 2007, and I was starting to consider issues related to his education. And between issues in my personal life and also issues with him, I decided to look across this great state of Wyoming on someplace where I would be proud to raise my son, providing him a great education, great sports activities, as well as extracurricular activities such as fishing and hunting and other things. And Evanston seemed like a perfect place to go. And I was offered a position here at the Uinta County and Prosecuting Attorney's Office as their chief trial deputy, so I jumped on it.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Now, the decision to leave what many would consider a very stable career with chance for advancement to, anytime you're going out there on your own cannot be one that's taken lightly. What prompted that decision?
Well, in relation relation to matters, I love prosecuting, and I am still very fond of criminal defense work, and it is a fascinating area of law. However, I do believe that I can also provide services in the community, both with domestic relations laws as well as personal injuries and medical malpractice. And so my hope is, by going into sole practice, that I can have a diverse day, basically, and have the opportunity to do a little of my heartfelt criminal law, as well as doing some issues with maybe setting up a guardianship, whether it's for an adult or for a child, helping with a child custody proceeding, doing a medical malpractice case, or other issues that maybe can have some more variety during the day and help me learn, because I think that the only way to stay young is to try to keep learning and keep progressing. Well said.
Who have been some of the major influences on your life as far as your career goes, and maybe some others, who's had some impact that you look back on and say, this formed who I was and helped shape me into wanting to pursue a legal career?
Well, there is an attorney there in Laramie, Wyoming, there in Albany County, and his name is Kermit Brown. He's actually a representative, either a Senate or a representative, I'm sorry, because I don't know currently, there in the Wyoming legislature. And he is an old cowboy from Rollins, Wyoming, and so he helped to form some issues with me. There's also an individual, he's a petroleum engineer with the Bureau of Land Management. He's currently now in Nevada, and his name is John Mangini. He's also from the McGineys of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And he encouraged me when I was a high school student to believe that there was no mountain too high and no cloud too steep. That's backwards, I'm sorry. He encouraged me because he convinced me that there were no clouds too high or mountains too steep, that there was no limitation to what I could become. And so he really encouraged me along the way. And more than anything in the world, my sister is my hero. She had a horrible accident when we were children, and the way that she's managed to just keep on moving on and cowgirl up and keep with things makes it so that I know that no matter what is going on, no matter what situation it is, that work is work, play is play, and family is always family. And I keep that in mind at all times. I also very much appreciate the attorneys that have helped guide me through my career, including Jim Barrett, Kurt Buckhammer, and Larry Keel.
So an exciting yet challenging time kind of on the horizon for you.
It is. I'm really looking forward to things. So far, I am so anxious to get to work. I'm basically working on a table, a camp table, and a lawn chair, but we'll have some furniture to invite guests soon, and we are actively working at this time.
How would you address people who may consider hiring you for their legal representation? What would you want to say to the people of Evanston and the surrounding area?
Well, I hope to soon be expanding our practice too to Utah as well. And whether it's here in Wyoming or in Utah, what I would tell them is that if you want someone who will truly give you the time and consideration to make sure that 110% is provided to your case, that you should call the Gerrard Law Firm at 444-LAW-1, which is 5291, or look at us at www.gerrardlaw.com, which you've already done if you're here today. And know that I will give you the time and consideration to make sure that everything that possibly can be done will be done to my greatest abilities.
Thank you, Loretta. Best of luck on your new endeavors.
Thanks, Mark.